guys. So I thought I would do a video basically describing the hospital that I was staying at for the surgery because I feel like people might be curious about what that was like and how it was the same or different than hospitals in North America. I've never been to a hospital in Europe, so it's probably different than both of those. But yeah, so as I mentioned before, I had a partial fistulotomy and Chara Sutra. So that means that there was a hospital stay for the partial fistulotomy, and there's generally no hospital stay if you get only the Chara Sutra string. So I did mine in Bangalore. So obviously there's going to be some differences between hospitals. So I can only really tell you what the one I was at is like. So I checked in about 5 hours before my surgery. And then before I did the surgery, I had tests to make sure that I was healthy. So blood test, ECG, and X-ray. So the stuff was all very clean. Some of the equipment was like a bit older, but still in good working condition. There were a lot of nurses there, and most of the people working at this hospital in particular were women. They were all very good to me. Not all of them spoke English, but enough people spoke English that there was no problems with that. Yeah, and then the room I was staying at, I actually took a little bit of a video of it, so I can put that in here. But it had two beds and a private bathroom, a TV, and it was quite big. So you were expected to bring your own supplies to the hospital in terms of what you would personally need. So you were expected to bring your own towel, water, any food. So on the day of the surgery, you can't drink before getting the anesthesia anyways. But in the evening and overnight and the following morning before you check out, you can drink water. So it's definitely good to bring water with you. And also the same thing with food. They don't provide the meals the way that they do in North America. Although at one point I ran out of water and I asked, and they had someone go out and buy me some. So I think they would do the same thing with food. If you ask them to get you something, I think that they would. But for your own comfort and sort of peace of mind, it's probably a good idea to also bring some food with you. And in the morning, they have you take a shower, sort of like more of a sponge bath. And for that, you need your own towel in order to make yourself comfortable. And I didn't bring a washcloth, but I think a washcloth would have also been a good idea. Same thing with your toothbrush. And I brought some books and, a crossword puzzle book and the kind of stuff that you just kind of bring to pass the time. It's also a good idea. Yeah, and you also buy your own medicine. So there's a little Ayurvedic or just a little medicine store right kind of beside the hospital. And that's where you can buy all of the things that your doctor prescribes to you. And also during the surgery, they'll use sort of various, gauze and other sort of medical supplies. And after the surgery, they give you the list of what was used and you replace that. It's not expensive, but that is the difference between the hospital at home and the hospital here is basically that the cost is very, very low. And I think part of the reason why is because people are replacing what's used in their own surgery. So the hospital isn't taking on like a lot of extra costs, which actually I think is a really good system. If it's just something to keep in mind, like bring cash with you to the hospital, because I doubt that that little store takes credit cards. I really don't know whether they would or not, but it's a good idea to bring like several thousand rupees, which is probably like 40 or $50 worth, which you probably won't need all of, but just in case, it would be a good idea to have cash on you when you go to the hospital. They also, when I went for the surgery, since I had those personal belongings in that room, one of the nurses that was one of my favorite nurses, she was very nice. She made a point of locking the door behind me and like showing me that she had the only key in her pocket. And of course, she was there to unlock it when the surgery was done. So while you're getting the surgery, I really don't see that there's any chance that anything left in your room would be taken. I wouldn't bring like all your most valuables with you, like ever, really, but I really don't think there's any need to worry about anything left in the room because they do lock it when you're not there. And it just is a very safe seeming place regardless, where I don't think anything like that would happen even if they didn't lock the door, but they did lock it. Yeah, so those are kind of the main things. And I guess the other thing that's different is that it seems like there's more hospitals here and that they're smaller. So instead of being like this gigantic complex where every conceivable form of medicine is performed all in the same place and chaos and waiting and people running around, actually the hospital was pretty small. It seemed like it was maybe 3 or 4 stories, and there was a waiting room and there was all these different testing kind of rooms, like the x-ray room and the blood test room and all that stuff. And there were definitely quite a number of patients being treated in that hospital. But it was significantly smaller than the hospitals that I'm used to. And I also see a lot more hospitals around when I'm out in the city. So I get the impression that the hospitals seem to be perhaps more specific. Like there will be a specific one for women and children, a specific one for like liver things. And it seems like the hospitals are smaller and there's more of them and they might have more specialization. So anyways, what I'm trying to get at is that this was a pretty peaceful place in general. And it wasn't like a huge hospital where you would get lost. It was a sort of medium-sized building. Yeah, and they didn't overcrowd you. Like the other bed in the room was not occupied either. So it was definitely very private as well. And I think that in fact, I'm certain that somebody could also stay in that room with you overnight if you were traveling with a spouse or other support person. So, yeah, that's just a little bit about what to expect if you go to a hospital or how to prepare, especially if you go to this specific one. And you could always ask your doctor what's expected of you, but yeah, that was my experience. And if you have any more questions about the hospital, you can ask me in the comments because I may have overlooked something that is important that just didn't come to my mind. So another thing I just thought of was I actually took a little bit of footage leaving the hospital. Took like an auto rickshaw back to my hotel. So, um, I'll just add a little bit of that at the end of the video so you can see also um, a little bit like the streets of Bangalore and the rickshaw ride home. Okay, well, thank you for watching. Bye.